She called me her roommate, then lied to everyone when I caught her with her ex. You know how sometimes you get that gut feeling that something's wrong, even when everything on the surface looks fine? Yeah, that's exactly how I felt the moment I walked into my apartment that Friday night. I had just pulled a double shift at Atlas Tech Solutions, running on caffeine and pure stubbornness, when I unlocked the door to find Madison, my girlfriend of 3 years, sitting on the couch with a guy I had never seen before. Correction, a guy I didn't want to recognize, because the second I stepped into the room, I saw the way they were sitting. Too close. Way too close. Madison looked up and her smile froze on her face. "Oh hey, Brandon," she said, her voice just a little too bright. "You're home early." I set my laptop bag down carefully, ignoring the tension that instantly thickened the air. The guy stood up, all fake confidence and easy smirks. He held out a hand like we were meeting at a barbecue. "You must be Brandon," he said. "I'm Kyle." Kyle. The name hit me like a punch. Madison's ex. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. The one she swore she had completely cut out of her life 2 years ago after he broke her heart for the 3rd time. And here he was, in our apartment, smiling at me like he belonged. I shook his hand out of pure reflex. Then Madison laughed, a high, strained sound that made my skin crawl. "I was just catching up with Kyle," she said. "He was in town for the weekend, and we thought, why not hang out? Old friends and all." Old friends. Right. I narrowed my eyes, but before I could say anything, Madison added, "Oh, and Kyle, this is my roommate, Brandon." The word hit me like a sledgehammer. Roommate. Not boyfriend. Not partner. Not the guy she had lived with for 2 years, loved for 3. Just roommate. Kyle's eyes flicked between us, and for a moment, just a moment, I saw a flicker of something nasty behind his smile. He knew. He knew exactly what she was doing, and he loved it. I didn't blow up right there. I wanted to believe me. Every muscle in my body was screaming to yell, to demand answers, to throw him out by the collar. But something inside me, some deep, cold part that had learned to survive years of disappointments, told me to stay calm. Observe. Listen. Get the full picture before you react. So I sat down in the armchair opposite them, forcing a smile so tight it hurt my cheeks. "So how do you two know each other?" I asked, voice casual. Kyle grinned. "Oh, Maddie and I go way back. High school sweethearts. Broke up after college, but some things never really die, right?" He winked at her. She laughed nervously, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear like she was 13 again. I thought I might be sick. They kept talking shallow stories, stupid inside jokes, and I sat there, listening, cataloging every glance, every shift in her body language. She didn't look uncomfortable. She didn't look trapped. She looked thrilled. Like being with him again filled some hole inside her that I had never even been allowed to touch. Eventually, Kyle stood up, stretched dramatically. "Well, I should get going. Got a hotel over on 5th Street. He turned to Madison, ignoring me completely. "Still on for tomorrow?" My heart thudded. "Tomorrow?" Madison smiled, really smiled, and nodded. "Yeah, noon. I'll text you." After he left, the silence in the apartment was deafening. I sat there, staring at Madison, waiting. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "So," I said, voice dangerously soft. "Roommate." She flinched. "It was just easier," she mumbled. I didn't want to make things awkward. Awkward for who? Him? Or you? She didn't answer. "Are you seriously telling me you thought it would be more awkward to tell your ex-boyfriend that you have a boyfriend?" Her hands twisted in her lap. "I didn't think it would matter," she said weakly. I stood up, feeling the rage boiling up in my chest. "It matters to me. And you know the worst part?" She didn't even apologize. She just sat there, looking at me like I was the problem for making a big deal out of it. "Let me ask you something. If the person you trusted most lied to your face and didn't even seem sorry, what would you do? Would you walk away right then and there? Or would you wait to see just how deep the betrayal goes?" Because I find out Madison's little catching up session was just the beginning. And what she does next breaks something I'll never be able to fix. You ready? The next morning, I woke up on the couch, stiff and aching, wearing the same clothes from the night before. Madison was still in the bedroom, probably pretending to be asleep. I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want to look at her. But I had to know, because somewhere deep down, beneath the hurt, the anger, there was still a part of me clinging to hope that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't as bad as it looked. Spoiler alert, it was worse. Around 11 a.m., Madison came out of the bedroom, hair messy, pulling on a sweatshirt. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Hey," she mumbled, acting like we hadn't basically set fire to our relationship the night before. I didn't respond. She grabbed her keys from the counter. I'm gonna grab lunch with Kyle. My stomach twisted. You're what? She froze. Knew she'd been caught. I told you last night. We made plans. No, you said you were catching up. I didn't realize that meant a second date. It's not a date, she said quickly. Too quickly. I laughed, harsh, ugly. You're unbelievable. Brandon, no. Go ahead. Go meet your old friend. But when you come back, I didn't finish the sentence. I didn't need to. She slammed the door behind her without another word. I sat there for about 15 minutes, trying to figure out what the hell had happened to my life. Then I made a decision. I grabbed my jacket, my phone, and my keys, and followed her. I wasn't proud of it. Following someone like some low-budget private investigator wasn't exactly my finest moment. But I needed to know. I needed to see it with my own eyes. She wasn't lying about the location. She met Kyle at a little cafe downtown, one of those trendy places with exposed brick walls and overpriced coffee. I parked across the street, stayed low in the seat, watched them through the window, and what I saw wasn't just lunch. It was him reaching across the table to hold her hand. It was her laughing, really laughing, in a way I hadn't seen in months. It was the way she leaned toward him, like she couldn't get close enough. I felt like I was watching some twisted play where everyone knew their lines except me. The worst part? I realized she never looked at me like that anymore. Maybe she never had. They stayed there for 2 hours. When they finally left, I stayed in the car, paralyzed, as they walked down the street side by side. And when Kyle put his arm around her shoulders, she didn't pull away. She leaned into him, like it was the most natural thing in the world. I drove home in a daze, sat in the parking lot for another hour before I could even move. When Madison finally came back around 4 p.m., she was smiling like nothing had happened. When she saw me standing in the living room, her smile faltered. What? You and Kyle? I said. What's really going on? She crossed her arms, instantly defensive. Nothing. We're friends. I saw you. Her face paled. I was across the street, I continued. I saw you hold his hand. I saw you let him touch you. She opened her mouth, maybe to lie, maybe to justify, but I cut her off. Save it. The silence between us was thick enough to choke on. Finally, she muttered, it's not what you think. Then explain it to me. She hesitated. Swallowed. I don't know. Being around him again. It just felt easy. Familiar. And what about us? What are we? She shook her head. I don't know anymore. There it was. The nail in the coffin. You ever have one of those moments where everything inside you just shuts down? That was me. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just picked up my keys, grabbed my duffel bag, and started throwing clothes into it. Madison watched, arms wrapped around herself, but she didn't try to stop me. She just let me leave. I stayed with Tyler, my best friend, that night. He didn't ask a lot of questions. Just handed me a beer and said, whatever it is, screw her. Normally, I would have laughed. Instead, I sat there, staring at the wall, wondering how the hell you're supposed to rebuild your life when the person you built it around knocks it down without a second thought. The text started around midnight. Madison, I'm sorry. Madison, can we talk? Madison, please don't do this. I didn't answer. She called. 5 times. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. I didn't listen. I didn't expect Madison to give up easily. I mean, she was a lot of things, selfish, reckless, impulsive, but she wasn't a quitter. What I didn't expect was how low she would sink to pull me back. I spent the first 3 nights at Tyler's place. He gave me his old futon in the guest room, stocked the fridge with junk food, and handed me the Wi-Fi password like he was welcoming a war refugee. You don't have to talk about it, he said. Just heal. I appreciated it more than you probably knew. The problem was, healing wasn't that simple. At night, I still heard her laugh in my head. Still replayed the look on her face when she leaned into Kyle like he was her whole world. Still wondered how long it had been going on before I noticed. On the 4th night, Madison texted again. But this time, the message was different. Madison, I need to talk to you. Please. It's important. Madison, I'm pregnant. I stared at my phone so long Tyler finally asked, you okay? I showed him the screen. He read it once, blinked, then let out a low whistle. Man, if that's not emotional terrorism, I don't know what is. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Because suddenly, everything was tangled again. What if she was telling the truth? What if she really was pregnant, and it was mine? I couldn't just ignore that, no matter how much I wanted to. The next day, I agreed to meet her. Neutral ground again. Same coffee shop where I'd seen her with Kyle. Funny how places change when you know the truth about someone. I sat at the corner table, heart thudding, tapping my foot uncontrollably under the table. Madison showed up late, of course. She looked different. Pale. Nervous. No makeup. Hair pulled back in a messy bun. She sat down across from me and clutched her coffee cup like it was a lifeline. Neither of us spoke for a long moment. Finally, I broke the silence. So, she swallowed hard. I found out a few days ago, she said. I wasn't going to tell you. I didn't know if you'd even want to know after everything, but you deserve to. I said nothing. Brandon. I'm sorry. For everything. For Kyle. For lying. I messed up. But this, she placed a hand on her stomach. This changes everything. I raised an eyebrow. Does it? She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. I want to fix this. I want us to be a family. The word family hit me like a slap. She was trying to rope me back in, to use guilt, obligation, fear. And a part of me, the scared, hopeful part, wanted to believe her. But then, I thought about Kyle, and everything inside me went cold. So, I said carefully, when did you find out? Earlier this week. And you're sure it's mine? The words hung there, ugly and raw. Madison flinched. Yes, she said, too fast. I leaned forward. You're sure? I repeated. Because from where I'm sitting, you spent a hell of a lot of time getting cozy with Kyle, and I'm supposed to believe there's no doubt? Tears spilled down her cheeks. I made a mistake, she whispered. But I swear to you, Brandon, it's yours. I wouldn't lie about something like this. I studied her. Every shift of her body. Every twitch of her mouth. And I realized. She already was. I want a paternity test, I said flatly. Her eyes widened. What? Brandon? No, I wouldn't. A paternity test, I repeated. You're asking me to turn my life upside down for you after you lied to my face and paraded around with your ex. If you want me involved, we're doing this my way. She looked like I'd slapped her. But she nodded. Slowly. Reluctantly. Okay, she whispered. I left the coffee shop feeling more hollow than ever. Not angry. Not sad. Just numb. Like whatever thread had still connected us had finally snapped. And all that was left was paperwork and bitterness. 2 days later, I got a call from Tyler while I was at work. Bro, he said, voice tense. You're gonna want to sit down. What now? He sent me a screenshot. A public Instagram post. Madison. With Kyle. At the beach. His arm around her waist. Her head on his shoulder. Caption. Starting fresh with my real soulmate. New chapter. New beginnings. My blood ran ice cold. And right there, buried in the comments, was the worst part. A reply from one of her friends. Congrats. So excited for you guys. Baby on board. And Madison's reply. Maybe sooner than you think. No mention of me. No hint of guilt. Just gone. Like I had never existed. I don't remember much after that. Just rage. And grief. And the sickening realization that the pregnancy? It wasn't mine. Maybe it never was. Maybe it had always been a lie. She tried to trap me. Tried to use my heart, my future, as a leash. When that failed, she discarded me like trash. Moved on like nothing happened. Let me ask you. If someone uses the idea of a child, of a family, just to control you, can you ever truly forgive that? Or is that a betrayal that shatters something too deep to ever rebuild? Because in Chapter 4, Madison's lies catch up to her. And the fallout? It's more brutal than even I expected. You ready? The day after I saw Madison's post with Kyle, something in me snapped. Not the hot, reckless kind of anger that makes you throw things or scream into the night. No, this was different. This was the cold, razor-sharp kind of anger that settles into your bones and tells you, enough. No more second-guessing. No more wondering what I could have done differently. No more hoping someone who clearly didn't care about me would suddenly change. It was over. All of it. I blocked her number that night. Deleted every photo. Every old text thread. Every saved voicemail. I unfollowed her on everything. Burned every bridge down to ash. Tyler noticed immediately. You good? He asked when he found me sitting at the kitchen table, staring at my cleared phone like it was a fresh tombstone. I nodded. Finally, I said, and I meant it. But Madison? Madison wasn't done. Not even close. 2 days later, I got an email. Not a text. An email. Professional. Formal. Like she thought if she wrote it in proper sentences, it would somehow erase everything she'd done. Brandon, I know you're hurt. I never meant for things to end like this. I made mistakes. I'm not perfect. But what we had was real, and I still believe we could have built something beautiful together. I miss you. I miss us. Please, can we meet one last time? I want to explain everything. Madison. I stared at the email for a long time. Not because I was tempted, but because of how easily she twisted reality to fit her version of events. We could have built something beautiful. She was already building it, with Kyle. She didn't miss me. She missed the version of me that forgave too easily. the version that made excuses, the version that made her feel safe even when she didn't deserve it. That Brandon, he was dead. Still, part of me needed to say it. Out loud. To her face. I agreed to meet. Neutral ground again. A coffee shop halfway between her apartment and Tyler's place. I picked the time. I picked the place. I controlled the narrative this time. When Madison walked in, I barely recognized her. She looked small. Fragile. Not the confident girl who once talked her way into VIP parties and charmed her way out of speeding tickets. Maybe karma was already doing its work. Or maybe she just realized she couldn't spin her way out of this one. She sat down, clutching a coffee cup like it might protect her. I didn't bother ordering anything. I wasn't staying long. Thanks for meeting me, she said. I just looked at her. No fake smiles. No small talk. Say what you came to say, I said. She blinked, thrown off by my tone. But she recovered quickly. Madison was always good at adapting. I'm sorry, she said. Really? I was confused. Lost. Kyle. He made me feel like the girl I used to be. And I thought maybe if I could just hold on to that, everything would be okay. I said nothing. And the pregnancy, it wasn't planned. I didn't even know for sure whose it was when I texted you. There it was. The final truth. I laughed. Short. Bitter. So you lied. You knew it might not be mine, and you still tried to trap me. Tears welled up in her eyes. I was scared, she whispered. I didn't want to lose you. You lost me the second you chose him over me, I said coldly. The second you disrespected me in my own home. The second you decided lying was easier than being honest. She flinched. Good. Maybe for the first time, she was feeling even a fraction of what she'd put me through. You didn't miss me, Madison, I said. You missed the safety net. You missed the guy who would always be there no matter how many times you spit on him. She shook her head. No, Brandon, I loved you. No, I said, standing up. You loved the version of me that let you get away with everything. And that guy's gone. I left her sitting there, surrounded by strangers who didn't know or care about the wreckage she'd left behind. And for the first time in months, I felt free. When I got back to Tyler's, he was waiting on the porch with 2 beers and a grin. You look better, he said. I feel better. We clinked bottles. Later that night, as I lay on the futon scrolling through my phone, I stumbled across an old photo. Me and Madison. At a carnival 2 summers ago. Smiling like idiots. In love, or at least, I thought we were. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I hit delete. And didn't regret it for a second. The day after I saw Madison's post with Kyle, something in me snapped. Not the hot, reckless kind of anger that makes you throw things or scream into the night. No, this was different. This was the cold, razor-sharp kind of anger that settles into your bones and tells you, enough. No more second-guessing. No more wondering what I could have done differently. No more hoping someone who clearly didn't care about me would suddenly change. It was over. All of it. I blocked her number that night. Deleted every photo. Every old text thread. Every saved voicemail. I unfollowed her on everything. Burned every bridge down to ash. Tyler noticed immediately. You good? He asked when he found me sitting at the kitchen table, staring at my cleared phone like it was a fresh tombstone. I nodded. Finally, I said. And I meant it. But Madison? Madison wasn't done. Not even close. 2 days later, I got an email. Not a text. An email. Professional. Formal. Like she thought if she wrote it in proper sentences, it would somehow erase everything she'd done. Brandon, I know you're hurt. I never meant for things to end like this. I made mistakes. I'm not perfect. But what we had was real, and I still believe we could have built something beautiful together. I miss you. I miss us. Please, can we meet one last time? I want to explain everything. Madison. I stared at the email for a long time. Not because I was tempted, but because of how easily she twisted reality to fit her version of events. We could have built something beautiful. She was already building it, with Kyle. She didn't miss me. She missed the version of me that forgave too easily. The version that made excuses. The version that made her feel safe even when she didn't deserve it. That Brandon, he was dead. Still, part of me needed to say it. Out loud. To her face. I agreed to meet. Neutral ground again. A coffee shop halfway between her apartment and Tyler's place. I picked the time. I picked the place. I controlled the narrative this time. When Madison walked in, I barely recognized her. She looked small. Fragile. Not the confident girl who once talked her way into VIP parties and charmed her way out of speeding tickets. Maybe karma was already doing its work. Or maybe she just realized she couldn't spin her way out of this one. She sat down, clutching a coffee cup like it might protect her. I didn't bother ordering anything. I wasn't staying long. Thanks for meeting me, she said. I just looked at her. No fake smiles. No small talk. Say what you came to say, I said. She blinked, thrown off by my tone. But she recovered quickly. Madison was always good at adapting. I'm sorry, she said. Really? I was confused. Lost. Kyle, you made me feel like the girl I used to be. And I thought maybe if I could just hold on to that, everything would be okay. I said nothing. And the pregnancy, it wasn't planned. I didn't even know for sure whose it was when I texted you. There it was. The final truth. I laughed. Short. Bitter. So you lied. You knew it might not be mine, and you still tried to trap me. Tears welled up in her eyes. I was scared, she whispered. I didn't want to lose you. You lost me the second you chose him over me, I said coldly. The second you disrespected me in my own home. The second you decided lying was easier than being honest. She flinched. Good. Maybe for the first time, she was feeling even a fraction of what she'd put me through. You didn't miss me, Madison, I said. You missed the safety net. You missed the guy who would always be there no matter how many times you spit on him. She shook her head. No, Brandon, I loved you. No, I said, standing up. You loved the version of me that let you get away with everything. And that guy's gone. I left her sitting there, surrounded by strangers who didn't know or care about the wreckage she'd left behind. And for the first time in months, I felt free. When I got back to Tyler's, he was waiting on the porch with 2 beers and a grin. You look better, he said. I feel better. We clinked bottles. Later that night, as I lay on the futon scrolling through my phone, I stumbled across an old photo. Me and Madison. At a carnival 2 summers ago. Smiling like idiots. In love, or at least, I thought we were. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I hit delete. And didn't regret it for a second. After that last meeting with Madison, I thought I was done. I figured that was the end of our story. 2 people who used to love each other. Now nothing more than lessons and regret. I didn't expect to hear about her again. And I definitely didn't expect to hear what I heard next. It was about a month later. I was out grabbing drinks with Tyler and some mutual friends, just a casual Saturday night, when Ashley, one of Madison's old college friends, showed up. I hadn't seen Ashley in months. She gave me a tight smile when she spotted me across the bar and made a beeline straight for me. I braced myself. Small talk, pity, maybe even thinly veiled judgment. I was ready for all of it. But instead, Ashley leaned in and said something that froze the beer halfway to my lips. You dodged a bullet, Brandon, she said. I blinked. What? She gave a sharp, humorless laugh. Madison? Kyle? Total train wreck. Like nuclear disaster levels. Of course, I wanted to know more. But part of me hesitated. Did I really need to reopen old wounds? Did I really care? Turns out, yeah, a little bit. Because sometimes, when someone burns you that badly, a tiny sliver of justice feels like oxygen to scorched lungs. Ashley didn't hold back. Apparently, Madison and Kyle had moved in together after their beach announcement. Fast. Too fast. It didn't take long for cracks to show. Money problems. Trust issues. Jealousy. Madison couldn't stand the idea of Kyle talking to other women, even casually. Meanwhile, Kyle couldn't hold down a job to save his life. He bounced from bartending gigs to landscaping jobs, never lasting more than a few weeks anywhere. And the pregnancy? That bombshell Madison had dropped on me to try and reel me back? Fake. Ashley swore up and down Madison was never pregnant. She made it up, completely, as a last-ditch effort to manipulate me. Hearing that didn't even make me angry. It made me sad. Sad that someone could sink that low. Sad that I ever gave so much of myself to someone capable of that kind of cruelty. But Ashley wasn't finished. The real kicker? A few weeks after moving in together, Kyle cheated. Blatantly. With some girl he met at a bar. Madison found out when she stumbled across text on his phone. He didn't even bother hiding it. When she confronted him, he shrugged and said, "You knew who I was." And just like that, everything she thought she had rebuilt came crashing down. I sat there at the bar, listening to Ashley lay it all out, feeling a strange mixture of satisfaction and sorrow. I didn't wish misery on her. Not really. But if karma was real, it had finally come full circle. And it wasn't my hands that got dirty delivering it. Later that night, Tyler and I sat on the back patio, nursing our beers. He clinked his bottle against mine. To dodging bullets, he said. To learning lessons the hard way, I replied. We both laughed. It's weird, you know? How someone can be your whole world one minute. And a stranger you barely recognize the next. It doesn't happen all at once. It's slow. Like watching a bridge rot from underneath until one day you step forward, and it crumbles under your feet. I don't know when I stopped loving Madison. Maybe it was the night she introduced me as her roommate. Maybe it was when she reached for Kyle's hand across a coffee shop table. Maybe it was the moment she lied about carrying my child. Or maybe it was when I realized I deserved better, that I deserved love without conditions, without games, without cruelty. Since then, my life's been quieter, better. I moved into a new apartment, got promoted at work, started seeing someone, slowly, carefully, someone kind. No drama, no lies, just peace. And honestly, that feels like the best revenge of all. Let me ask you something. Have you ever realized too late that walking away was the real victory all along? Because Madison tries to crawl back one last time. But this time, the door stays closed. Forever. Ready for the final? It had been almost 3 months since I had last seen Madison. 3 months of silence. 3 months of rebuilding my life. One quiet, stubborn day at a time. I thought it was over. I wanted it to be over. But life, and people like Madison, have a way of clawing their way back when you least expect it. It was a Thursday evening when I got the letter. Not a text. Not a call. A literal, handwritten letter, shoved into my mailbox at my new apartment. No return address. No stamp. Just my name written in messy, familiar handwriting. I hesitated before opening it. A big part of me wanted to just throw it away. But curiosity, that stubborn little ember, won. I opened it. The letter was 2 pages long. Rambling. Messy. Emotional. Here's the short version. Madison missed me. Madison regretted everything. Madison realized, too late, that Kyle wasn't the man she thought he was. Madison wanted to start fresh. Madison still loved me. At the bottom, she had scribbled, "Even if you hate me, I just needed you to know." No phone number. No email. No plea to meet. Just a confession. I sat there on my couch, the letter dangling from my fingers, heart pounding for reasons I couldn't quite name. Not love. Not sadness. Not even anger. Just finality. You know that feeling when a song ends, and for a second the silence is louder than the music? That's what it felt like. Like the last notes of whatever we had been, beautiful or broken, had finally faded. And in the silence, there was peace. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Nothing left to salvage. Nothing to fight for anymore. Madison was a chapter in my story, one that taught me a lot. But she wasn't part of the next one. Tyler found me on the patio later, nursing a beer and staring up at the stars. He didn't ask what was wrong. He just handed me another bottle and sat beside me. After a while, I said, "She wrote me a letter." He grunted. "Let me guess. I miss you. I made a mistake. Take me back." Pretty much. He took a long pull of his beer. "You gonna respond?" I shook my head. "No point." He smiled, a slow, approving grin. "Proud of you, man." I smiled back. For the first time in a long time, I meant it. In the weeks that followed, I kept moving forward. Finished a big project at work. Adopted a rescue dog, a scrappy little mutt with one ear that flopped down and one that stuck straight up. Named him Chance. Because sometimes life gives you second chances. Just not always with the people you thought. Madison tried one more time, a few weeks later. She showed up at my work. Big mistake. I was grabbing coffee in the lobby when I heard her voice behind me. "Brandon." I turned. There she was, standing there in jeans and a sweatshirt, hair messy, eyes red-rimmed. She looked small. Broken. Not the girl who used to own every room she walked into. The receptionist glanced over, sensing the tension, but I gave her a quick shake of my head. "I could handle this." "What are you doing here?" I asked, voice calm. Madison wrung her hands. I just wanted to see you. To tell you in person how sorry I am." I raised an eyebrow. "We already covered that." Tears welled up in her eyes. I know. But I couldn't stop thinking about you. About us. About what we had." I crossed my arms. "What we had is gone, Madison. You burned it. You poured gasoline on it and lit the match." She flinched. "I'm different now," she said. "I swear. I'm getting therapy. I'm trying to be better." "That's good," I said. "For you. But what about us?" I shook my head. "There is no us." She looked like I'd punched her. But I didn't soften. Not this time. Because love without trust isn't love. It's a ticking bomb. And I wasn't going to spend my life waiting for it to explode again. Security eventually came over and politely escorted her out of the building. She didn't fight. Just looked over her shoulder at me one last time. Sad. Defeated. Gone. I walked back to my desk, sat down, and took a deep breath. It was over. For real this time. Not with screaming. Not with tears. But with quiet. The kind of quiet that comes when you finally let go of something heavy you didn't realize you were carrying. Let me ask you. Have you ever had to choose yourself over someone you once loved? Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally realized. You deserve better. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your story too.